Before you judge your failures, let me tell you a secret I learned from a tree older than time itself. A secret that turned my biggest defeat into the greatest turning point of my life. It was a warm Sunday afternoon when the sun stretched gently across the fields of Willowbrook, a small American town where the breeze always smelled of summer even in early spring. Children played on their porches, neighbors greeted each other over white picket fences, and birds danced across the sky as if rehearsing for a parade. But none of that mattered to 12-year-old Oliver, who sat on the steps of his grandpa's house with a frown that seemed too heavy for his young face. Grandpa Rich, a man whose silver beard shimmered like soft winter snow and whose eyes sparkled with timeless mischief, stepped out onto the wooden porch. His old walking stick tapped rhythmically and the boards creaked as if whispering welcome to their oldest friend. "Why the long face, kiddo?" Grandpa Rich asked, lowering himself into his favorite rocking chair, a chair that many believed was older than the town itself. Oliver sighed deeply. "I studied so hard for the school contest and I still lost. I'm never good enough. What's the point of trying if others will always do better?" Grandpa Rich chuckled, a soft, warm laugh that wrapped itself around Oliver's frustration like a comforting blanket. "Ah," he said, "you've reached that age." "What age?" Oliver muttered. "The age where you think life's supposed to hand you trophies just for wanting them," Grandpa teased. "Come sit, I've got a story for you, one I haven't told anyone in years." Oliver knew that when Grandpa Rich said story, he really meant adventure. So he slid closer and waited as the old man leaned back, gazing toward the towering oak tree at the edge of the yard. "You see that old oak?" Grandpa Rich asked. "The one with roots like stubborn dragons and branches that look like they're trying to tickle the sky?" Oliver nodded. "Well," Grandpa began, "that tree once taught me a lesson I never forgot." The beginning of the tale. "When I was about your age," Grandpa Rich said, "I wasn't exactly a champion of anything. I wasn't the fastest runner, I wasn't the smartest kid in class, and I certainly wasn't the bravest. I was ordinary, and being ordinary felt like a curse." Oliver raised an eyebrow. "But you, ordinary." Grandpa laughed again, surprised. "Everyone starts somewhere, kiddo." He cleared his throat and continued. "One day, our school announced a climbing race. You had to climb the huge old oak behind the playground, reach the wooden flag at the top and wave it. The winner would get a shiny medal and their name carved on a wooden plaque. Everyone in town cared about that plaque. It made you a legend." "I wanted that more than anything," he said. "Not for the medal, not for the applause, but because I was tired of blending into the background like a forgotten note in a song." "So what did you do?" Oliver asked, now fully invested. "I practiced," Grandpa replied. "Day after day. I climbed small trees, then bigger ones. I scraped my knees, bruised my elbows, and tore through more shirts than my mother approved of. But every night I told myself the same thing: you're getting better little by little." Oliver smiled. "So you won the race?" Grandpa paused, then he shook his head. "Nope, I lost, and not even gracefully." "The day of the competition." "The day of the race," Grandpa continued, "the whole school gathered around the giant oak. The air felt thick with excitement. Parents lined up with cameras, teachers pointed at the branches discussing safety, and kids whispered their predictions. I felt ready, I had practiced, I believed in myself, I was sure I'd win. The whistle blew and we all rushed toward the tree. I climbed fast, faster than I ever had before, but halfway up my hand slipped on a patch of wet bark. I lost my grip and fell. Oliver gasped. "Did it hurt?" "Oh, it hurt all right," Grandpa said, rubbing his shoulder as if the memory still tingled. "But the worst pain wasn't from the fall, it was from watching another kid, Timothy Baxter, reach the top and wave the flag while everyone cheered. I felt small, invisible, just like you do right now." Oliver looked down. "Yeah, that's exactly how I feel." The unexpected lesson. Grandpa leaned forward, his voice lowering into a soft, thoughtful tone. "But here, where the lesson begins, kiddo, not where it ends." That evening, as I sulked under that same oak tree, feeling like the world had cheated me, something strange happened. A woman approached me, a very old woman with eyes that glowed like amber and a voice as soft as the wind. She looked at me and said, "You climbed well for someone who learned so quickly." I frowned and told her it didn't matter because I lost. She laughed, not meanly but kindly, and said, "Winning isn't the reward, growing is." Then she pointed at the tree and asked, Do you think the oak became tall overnight, or did it grow inch by inch, season by season, storm by storm? Grandpa tapped his cane on the porch floor. That was the moment it clicked. The tree wasn't great because it never fell. It was great because it kept growing despite every storm, every wind, every drought. Oliver's face softened. So, the lesson is not to give up. That's part of it, Grandpa said. But the real lesson is this: your worth isn't measured by trophies or contests. It's measured by the effort you put in and the person you become while trying. The return to the oak tree. Grandpa Rich wasn't finished. His voice deepened as the story reached its heart. To remind myself of that lesson, I returned to the old oak tree every day, not to win, not to race, but to climb, slowly, patiently, carefully. And after months, I reached the top. There was no crowd, no applause, no medal. But I felt something better: pride, pride that I had grown even if nobody else saw it. Oliver nodded slowly, absorbing every word. The twist. But here's something I didn't know until years later, Grandpa added with a mysterious smile. That old woman, she wasn't some stranger. She was the one who planted that oak tree decades before I was born. She had watched it grow all her life. She understood its struggle. And she told me something before she left that day, something I never forgot. Grandpa lifted a finger for emphasis. She said, greatness isn't a moment, it's a lifetime of choosing to grow. Back to the present. Oliver's frown had disappeared. His shoulders were no longer drooping. Instead, he stared at the oak tree at the edge of the yard with new eyes, as if seeing more than a tree. So you're saying, he whispered, that losing does mean I failed? No, kiddo, Grandpa said with a warm smile. Losing means you learned, and learning means you grew. That's what matters. Oliver took a deep breath, feeling a new fire rise inside him. Then I'm going to try again. I'm going to keep improving like your oak tree. Grandpa Rich winked. Now that's my boy. He leaned back in his rocking chair as the breeze rustled the leaves of the distant oak. The tree stood tall, firm, wise, unshaken, a reminder that growth isn't loud or flashy, it's quiet, steady, and unstoppable. And under that golden afternoon sun, Oliver realized something important. He didn't have to be perfect. He just had to keep growing.